So, kind of a fun, well, not fun for me, but it'll be interesting and, fun for you guys maybe. In the eyes of the UK tax government people, as an author, I am broke. And that's kind of the life of most indie authors for the first couple of years of their career. And I thought, why not break it down for you guys and look into why I'm broke and how I can become unbroke. Yeah, let's go with that. So yeah, indie author life, especially self-published based indies, the majority of your career is going to be spent in debt unless you are already financially well off or have a huge audience or people who are already aware of you. But for people like me who, I think I only had 1,000 subscribers by the time I released my first book. And most of them weren't really the sort of readers who would be interested in my debut series. So I wasn't making content about my books, I was making content about Percy Jackson. So, not really the sort of thing that carried over from my YouTube to a Tarzan gay retelling. So, it was never going to carry over that well for me. But like I was saying, in most cases for indie authors, you are starting in debt because a lot of stuff relating to publishing and writing and, releasing stuff as an indie author is expensive. You've got covers, you've got editors, you've got marketing, you've got potentially audiobook creation as well if you're going that far. There's a multitude of different things that lead to, just the money piling up. And I kind of wanted just to lay out the reality of it all because I released my first book in 2022 and I've still not made back the money. This may not be the most interesting video for you guys, but I thought it was kind of important for anyone who is looking to go down the self-publishing indie route to kind of be aware of the realities that it is an expensive thing. I am pretty lucky that I am able to fund what I'm doing and that, I'm working towards cutting away the debt that I have incurred from financing these books, mostly through conventions and stuff like that, which I will get to later as well. But it's definitely not for the faint of heart. So let's dive into it. Okay, so I've got my laptop here. I will probably put it down at some point and then just pop up on the screen what I'll be showing. But I'm going to be specifically going through my Into the Wild story, so that whole series of the 2 novels and the 3 short stories. And just breaking down the costs for that essentially. So I am going to put it down one sec. So the majority of costs for the books in general were, and I'll kind of mostly focus on the ones that are more essential. I did some things that were non-essential, which in my case was character art. Character art, in my opinion, I think can be somewhat essential, but it is not a requirement. I just realised that's kind of an oxymoron. I don't think it's something you have to do, but it's something nice to do to be able to help with marketing stuff later, but it's not an essential thing. But the main essential costs will be the cover art, the editor, potentially typesetting unless you already have your own software like Vellum, which unfortunately is still only for MacBook users. There is this one for Windows and stuff, which is called Atticus. But it's a little bit more simpler in comparison to Vellum, where you can do fancy stuff. And ISBNs in general, but that'll be for all your books as a whole, and proof copies. But those are the 4 plus 5 for typesetting main costs that come towards it. So for Home to the Wild, my cover costs for both the art and then the typography was £513.40. A lot, I know. And then in my case as well, I also got character art done, which is £483.58. Then with my editor, this was split across 3 payments. You could do it all in one. Sometimes you can negotiate with editors. In the case for my editor, Carly, we were able to split it across 3 payments. But in total for, I think it was a 70,000 word manuscript, it was £1,135.78. The typesetting that I got was £22.14. ISBNs, and I think I got 10 ISBNs, was £164. This was at the time where, so this was Ingram Spark in particular. Ingram Spark used to have uploading fees. They don't anymore. They only do if you are updating your manuscript. So that is £30 for the upload fees. And then for proof copies, it was in total £49.71. So in total, for just the first book, it was £2,398.61 for one book. Again, like a lot of the stuff there potentially wasn't necessary, so I'm going to need to get a calculator. Okay, so removing like the majority of the other costs, I've also removed typesetting just because I felt like there are a lot more other options for that. But for the essentials only, which is the cover, editor, ISBNs and proof copies, it was £1,862.89. Now, in my case, for both my covers and, well, mostly my covers, I did go the more expensive route for those just because of how stunning I wanted the book cover to be. I mean, just look how beautiful this is. Like, you can't really see it in the camera, but it's just a very pretty cover. And I just wanted my covers to be beautiful. Like, I know they say don't judge a book by cover, but people do. People do, because I know I do. But it is a thing. But I have, in other cases for like future books that I'm working on, being able to get a bit more cheaper covers. Those are usually like pre-made covers, which is why they're a little bit cheaper. So I think like my cheapest one was like £100. Again, like I'm doing this all in pounds because I do not know how to convert this into dollars, and I'm English, so I'm going to do it in pounds. But yeah, so there is a way to do cheaper covers. I just didn't want to skimp out it. Not to say that like it's a bad thing if you do, just like obviously go for an artist if you can, or go for those pre-made ones. Always check that they're not AI. AI art is not art. Same as AI writing is not writing. So always check to make sure it's not AI, because if your cover art is AI, people are going to think your writing is AI. Just don't skimp out on it. It is not worth losing people because you've decided to use AI like a douche. So minus all those other things, it's around 1,800. So again, quite a lot. Factoring in the same thing with my sequel, or even I just put everything all together. So again, it was cover art, character art. I got some extras of that. Again, not necessary. And then editor as well. I was in the best financial place at the time, so I did it across 4 payments at that point, which was very helpful. Again, Carly, you were the best. Thank you so much. Typesetting, again, in that case for me, again, at this stage, there were no upload feeds, so didn't have to worry about that. And then proof copies. So in total, for the 2 novels, I spent £4,684.27 total for the 2 novels. Now that is a lot of money, and that is across, at this stage, I believe it was about 2.5 years. So it was not big lump sums. It was at a stage when I was also working, at least with one of them, working full time in publishing. And for all of them, it was at a point when I was working in some form or just had a lot of money saved up from previous work. Not savings. This is a big thing. Never use your savings as an indie author for publishing. If you've got a lot in them and you're comfortable with it, sure, but I would not recommend, because savings are meant to be, you know, as a backup. It was like in case you get in dire straits. So actually, don't take financial advice from me. I should not be recommending stuff. I'm gonna get in trouble. But that's just for me. I would never want to use my savings for book stuff, just because that is emergency stuff or future house sort of stuff. Yes, but the majority of the money that I spent was when I was in full-time work, or when I had a lot of money in my main bank from working previously, because I don't do anything in general, so like I was okay, which is why I often say I was in a privileged position when I first started because I had the financial means to be able to do these books. And a lot of people aren't, which is why self-publishing in indie is not for everyone. Probably may realise that based on the cost of these 2 novels. But that's just the novels. We're going to add in, and let me do my calculator bit. So for the short stories, so there are 3 short stories that have been released. I was intending to release a 4th one, so I do have cover art purchases for that. So I will just include it because it's easier than just having to remove it. Though it may be coming at some point. But yes, to add to the total, so for, in this case, it was also slightly reduced, so it was just cover, editor and typesetting. And editing was not as expensive as the novels because obviously it's shorter. So I think in total for, obviously it goes up at some certain points. I also stopped splitting them up in 2. So it was around at each time. So the first one was 80 back in 2021. The second was 130 in 2022. And then 155 at the end of 2022. You can see the differences with how things, so this mainly because I was paying in pounds, I was in dollars, so exchange rate sort of things often change and fluctuate the price. Yeah, and most around £100 for each. So yeah, not as much obviously as the novels, but adding all of that together, including with the novels, so novels and short stories, the total is £5,559.03. So that's what I've spent on this whole series at current. As you all know, potentially, I think I mentioned, yeah, it should have come out by now. I do have something in the works. Out of the Wild is one thing, which is a collection of the short stories just in one collection as a whole, and the other is still Keeping Mum. But just on this series of everything that is currently out, £5,559.03 is how much I have spent. And I've not made that back, guys. Just going to get full spoilers here. Have not made that back. In total, since first publishing in 2022, well, 2021 technically, if I just go from KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, so on Amazon, I have made £230 since 2021. I think it's a similar amount on Drafted Digital, which is for ebooks on all other platforms, so that's like Kobo and all that sort of stuff. And Ingram, I have made, so Ingram Spark that is, which is print distribution, which is what gets my books into stores as well. I have made about £70. So you can tell from that alone, it's not been great. Online sales in general are just not the best for indie authors, unless, like I said at the start, you already have a built-in audience, people who already know of you and are already seeking out your work. It's just impossible in most cases for online sales to do well. But where sales do well is at conventions. Now, in conventions alone, I only started properly doing conventions last year in 2025. And I have been slowly making back the money that I have invested in all of my books so far. So at this stage, I am only about, I think, maybe I should do the maths on this. I'm going to do the maths on this. I'll be right back. Okay, I am returned. You can tell the day has passed because I am doing so much maths because the light is changing. That's how long it takes me to do maths. So I've worked out, so on just online sales alone, my maths was also off with that. So for just the Into the Wild series as a whole, I made £448.34 on online sales from 2022 to now. I didn't really have any sales in 2021. I set stuff up in 2021, I'm realising, but I didn't release anything in 2021. So since 2022 to now, I have made £448.34 on online sales. So take that from the £5,559.03 total. So that takes us down to £5,110.69. Now the thing that I haven't done is I have not split up the amount that I have earned on the Into the Wild series through conventions alone. Mostly just because that's really hard to do. I did it. £2,785.50 on just Into the Wild sales alone at conventions since 2023 to 2025. Taking that from £5,110.69, I get £2,325.19 left to make my money back on. So it means that I am still in debt. But in 3 years since the book released, so 2022, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 3.5, maybe 4. We'll say 4 because it seems fairer. In 4 years since that series is released, I am close to making back all of that. And that's 2 novels and 3 short stories. So that's 5 things released. And I'm close to making back the money on all of that. But as you can see, it takes a long time. It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of dedication to, getting that done. The amount of time and energy it takes to do all this sort of stuff. But, for me, I wouldn't really change anything. I love being a self-published and indie author. But as you can see, it really is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of patience. But in my case, I'm pretty close to getting to where I want to be. And eventually, the UK government will see that I'm no longer broke.